Hello, everyone, and welcome to monthly movie mini reviews for the month of February. It is currently nearing the end of May as we record this, so this show is going to be a lot of, I don't remember what happened in this movie that I watched 3 months ago. Because I'm old and I can't remember what I had for breakfast anymore. You think I can remember the plot details of a film I saw several months ago?
No. But I remember the feeling of disappointment.
Yeah. I remember I didn't like it. I don't know why, but
yeah, I actually have a very funny story about that. Can't wait.
Okay, so I watched more movies in February than my sister did. So I'll go first. May, when we eventually get to our May movies, that should go quicker because it's currently May 22nd and I have watched one movie.
Oh my.
I've been just personally really busy this month. I watched Chippendale Rescue Rangers. It's the only we'll talk about that way later. Actually, my sister and I just talked about the movie before we started recording. But that's the only movie I've seen so far this month. And if the drive-in pairs Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness with something other than itself, which it did, but now if it pairs it with something other than Uncharted, which I've already seen, because that's what it paired Spider-Man No Way Home with. Maybe in May I'll have seen Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Mouth of Madness, Multiverse of Madness, and something else. Pair it with Sonic 2. I don't want to see Sonic 2, but I'll see Sonic 2. I just don't want to see Multiverse of Madness. In the Mouth of Madness is
a Sam Neill movie from one like the 92 or something.
Something like that. It's one of the Cthulhu Lovecraft things. Anyway, but my first movie for February,
1994. I was so close.
Yeah, early. Oh yeah, so the year after Jurassic Park. Yeah. So which I think was 93. Okay, so the first movie I watched, Beyond Re-Animator. Have you seen Re-Animator?
No.
You should.
I know.
Everyone should see Re-Animator, unless you really don't like gore. And no shade if you don't like gore. That's fine. But it is an incredibly fun, funny, deliciously gory film from the 80s, somewhere later 80s. Wonderful performance from Jeffrey Combs, who plays Dr. Herbert West, who is trying to figure out how to reanimate corpses and has figured it out, but there are kinks. Things don't go well. And it's a disgusting, horrible movie, and I love it to pieces. It spawned a sequel a few years later called Bride of Re-Animator, which is not as good, but there's a lot of things to like in it too. And that franchise went dark for a long time. Then in 2003, they made another one called Beyond Re-Animator, and Jeffrey Combs is in it. And it's terrible, which is not surprising.
No,
Combs is great, as usual.
Who produced it, wrote it? Like, is it the same team?
Yeah, I seem to. Was Stuart Gordon still doing this? Let me IMDb it real quick and take a look. I know it was made in Spain, so I have a feeling like they couldn't get money for it.
Okay.
So they had to film it in a different country. Let's see. Speaking of Lovecraft, Re-Animator is also a Lovecraft story. Who is the director? Brian Yuzna. Right.
I think I know.
He's a horror. He's known for stuff. I mean, writer, director. He's directed a bunch of. He did Bride of Re-Animator. He did one of the Return of the Living Dead movies. Might have been the second or third one. I don't remember. I think third one. well, let me click his name here. The three, Return of the Living Dead 3. He did the Dentist, the Corbin Burton one. Oh, he did Dentist 2, did Progeny. Sure, okay. So I think Stuart Gordon did he did he do Bride of Re-Animator? He did Bride of Re-Animator.
Okay, so he had.
So yeah, so some of the original team here, and it's just really, really bad. Let me actually see if I'm remembering correctly who did the first Re-Animator. I think it was Stuart Gordon. Am I right about that? Yeah, Stuart Gordon. All right.
Knowledge.
Yeah, I know useless things because yeah. So Stuart Gordon, who also did Dolls and RoboChocks. I mean, we remember this stuff and Space Truckers.
Right? Oh, yeah, no.
So
great film.
right, another writer director of horror films and stuff like that. So anyway, so Beyond Re-Animator has a pretty decent premise where Herbert West, Jeffrey Combs's character, is caught and thrown in prison. So that's why 10, 15 years later he's been in prison.
Okay.
But he's still doing his experiments in prison on like rats and stuff and anything he can, and taking advantage of riots in the prison, and people get killed, and he's like, I'll
dragging
use that.
The body into his cell.
So
no one will notice.
That's right. So the prison gets a new doctor who Herbert West kind of ropes into doing his new experiments because they have a history. One of Herbert West's experiments killed his sister or mother or babysitter or something when he was a kid. So
you killed my babysitter.
Something, and he's like, if we can perfect this, we can actually bring her back. And then there's a woman who's a journalist who's journalizing the prison for whatever reason, and then there's the skeezy, because that's what journalists do, they journalize.
Yes, they journalize.
I did a lot of journalizing when I wrote for game politics and stuff. And there's of course the skeezy warden, and then there's a nurse who doesn't wear anything under her nurse thing other than underwear, and I'm like, that's meant to go over your clothes, ma'am. Is she gonna be like attacked by reanimated zombies at the end of the movie and have her? Okay, that's exactly what's happening. Okay, all right.
We need some boobages.
Yep.
So no, see, I would have taken this completely the other way, because for me, I would be like in the prison selling a second chance at life. Granted, again, I don't know anything about the kinks, and I'm not here to kink shame, but the kinks that you spoke of when reanimating a corpse. But like, you would be what a hot thing to be like, yo, I got your back. Like, you give me all of the cigarettes, or you give me all of the money, or you give me all of, the files that comes in the cakes or whatever. And I'll make sure that if you die, I'll just reanimate you. Like, that would be more interesting.
So I'm getting a notice that says
remaining meeting time 9 minutes and 49 seconds.
Yeah.
Why?
Did Zoom suddenly decide you can't do stuff? What? Since when was this a thing?
I saw too, and I'm like, and then I saw your confused face, and I'm like, either I explained that very poorly, or he's looking at that too.
Huh.
What does that mean? I guess we'll find out in 9 minutes.
I mean, I can just keep restarting this over and over. That's weird. It switched to Teams.
I don't know what that means.
That means that Zoom, I guess, made a change where, oh, wait a minute, people are using our product without paying. That's not good. Okay, well, so
let's keep going and find out what happens. It will be exciting.
Right. So Beyond Re-Animator course, I wonder if stopping recording and restarting will reset the timer. Interesting. I wonder if that message is actually recording onto the video file and it's going to be there for everyone to look at. Anyway, so the movie is there's a lot of fun gore gags in the film, to be fair, which is one of the reasons why you watch this. But one of the things that made the original sing is you liked all the characters. It was really funny dialogue. You actually cared about what was happening. In this one, all of the characters are uninteresting. The story doesn't make a lick of sense. And the editing is confusing. It skips all over the place. I'm like, wait, where are we? What are we doing? Why? What? Huh? What?
Yeah.
I don't know where they shot this. It looks like they may have been able to shoot partially in a prison. So, and
oh, that's exciting.
So, and if not, really good set design. So that was something. And you know, as I said, Combs is always fun to watch, but the rest of the cast not very good.
Yeah.
So just a real letdown of the movie. So Combs is fun gore gags, but yeah, not a good movie, unfortunately. So moving on. I finally saw a film from 2007, which I had wanted to see for a long time. It's called Teeth.
Oh, I believe I've seen it. I'm only checking to make sure she's not lying behind my chair because she does that. Okay.
Right.
I've seen it.
Oh, have you? Okay.
I have long ago. I recall not liking it. But I'll let you speak first. And then
my summation of the movie is an abstinence-only nut job bites off the wang doodles and fingers of rapey crapheads with her toothy vagina.
Yes, but no. Because doesn't, like, at the end of the movie, like, so yes, with her teethy vagina, she like the dudes who are, but then doesn't she have a boyfriend who's like an actual nice guy? Or isn't there like an actual nice, okay dude? And she's like, no, this is just what I'm going to do now. Because I remember.
I mean, there's like two nice guys who turn out to be the nice guys or just rapey crapheads. You know, because the one nice guy just turns out, you know, ends up raping her. And then the other nice guy just nice guys her into sex and was only just manipulating her for sex. And, you know, he like calls someone on a cell phone and, you know, mid coitus is like bragging to his friends, oh yeah, she's on me right now, I told you she was easy, you know. So yeah, everyone in the movie sucks. No one who gets their wang doodle munched off didn't deserve it.
Okay.
So I don't think the movie's very good. The narrative and structure is a mess. The characters don't really work. There are none of the jokes land. I think it's supposed to be a funny movie, but
I didn't catch that part. That association.
Like, I think there's two jokes that land. There when after her first encounter with the dude that rapes her, she goes to a gynecologist who also sexually assaults her, and her toothy vagina just clenches onto his hand and won't let go. And him trying to jerk his hand out of her vagina, but he ends up just kind of dragging her across the room because she's on like a wheeled gurney or something, is really visually hilarious. I thought that actually was really funny. And then the aforementioned scene where she's riding the one guy who she thinks is a sweet guy who likes her for who she is, you know, gets on a cell. She's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, oh yeah, she's right here. Say hi. No. It's like, oh yeah, I was just nice to her to get her in the sack. And she's like, crunch. Yeah. just the fallen face, just like crunch. I thought that those two things, were the only were the only jokes in the film that work. I thought there was potential to, you know, because she's a abstinence only religious nut job, and it feels like they're trying maybe to do some commentary on that, but the way the film is plotted and structured doesn't work to those ends, like, at all.
Yeah.
it never seems to decide whether it's trying to be a goofy comedy or a more disturbing black comedy. I don't think the film really got a sense of what it was trying to do. But mostly, I think the fact that I just didn't care about any of the characters, which is a tough challenge for writing a movie like this, because anyone who gets their wangdoodles munched needs to deserve it, which means you've got some really loathsome people in this movie.
Yeah.
Or you have a horrible, unlikable lead character. So I mean, there are different directions you can go, and I don't think they picked the right one. I didn't think the movie, which is a shame, because I wanted to see it. I thought this was a fun idea, and nope, doesn't. It's just bad.
Yeah, I watched it. I was living in New York at this time, or I had just moved out of New York, but I worked with the girl, so I knew her, and I was like, oh, I should watch this movie that she's in, and I was like, oh. There, now I've watched it. I was like, that was literally my whole, like, I was like, all right. And isn't there like a weird cave that they go into at some point? Like,
that's the first encounter. She goes swimming with her other abstinence only dude, and he just cajoles her into sex, and then she says no, and then he rapes her.
Yeah.
So
it's also like a terrible like portrait of guys. Like, I don't want to get into it. The current,
mm-hmm.
US, there's a terrible.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Right now,
I mean, it's one of those things where like every person in the movie is just horrible. I mean, every dude she meets, she doesn't have any good friends. Her doctor's terrible. Her guardians are. Everyone sucks.
Let's be real, guys. I've lived in a lot of states.
The dog is okay.
And I'm 40. I've lived in a lot of states, and I've had a lot of OBGs, and a lot of them, they've all been fine. No one's trying to. It's not a sexy time. So like, really isn't a sexy time up in there. So, like, I just feel bad that like, in movies, and that happens a lot in movies, and it pisses me off, because
that like, kind of contrivance is understandable, and for me acceptable, as long as it services the narrative in an interesting, workable way.
See, to me, it served the narrative in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, but it doesn't, like, there's time, just for me, I think that painting gynecologists in a bad light is hard for girls who don't want to already.
That's a fair point. I don't know how prevalent the idea of gynecologists are creepy, rapey dudes, but that's because gynecological examinations are important for people who need them.
Yes.
I don't have any use for them personally, but
no.
But hopefully that trope is not scaring anyone off of getting the medical attention
that's all I'm hoping.
that they need, right? I mean, because I don't think like proctologists don't seem to have the same stigma in film.
No.
I mean, maybe cast Sir Mix-a-Lot as a proctologist in a movie. He's like, oh yeah. So welcome back, everybody, to the monthly movie mini reviews for the month of May. Turns out on May 2nd, Zoom said, hey, free account holders, that means you, Andrew, you only get 40 minutes to do one-on-one calls. But my sister has, her work uses Zoom, so she has a paid account. So I made her host. So maybe that gets around the time limit. I don't know.
And if it doesn't, I can always do the actual Zoom invite. We'll just figure out how to get you the MP4 from it.
I mean, I may still be able to record it on my side, or we'll have to have you record it and Dropbox it or something. I don't know.
I just rolled over my dress, and now there's tire marks on it.
Whoops. All right. So last time we spoke of I don't know. We were talking about Teeth, right? Okay,
Teeth and Re-Animator.
Teeth and Beyond Re-Animator. Okay, so those are two of mine. Let's. What's one thing you watched in February?
Great. So February, for me, brought me back to traveling. After a few years, so I spent a lot of time in the air, and so I had some time to catch up on some interesting movies. And especially because February is the month of the Oscars, I was looking for things that I was like,
in which nothing interesting happened.
Yeah, it was very, very tame Oscars this year. So the first thing that I watched in February was The Lost Daughter with Olivia Colman, who is just always perfect. It's directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal. And
I know who these people are, but
yeah, and Dakota Johnson is in it, and a few other people. What's his name? Ed Harris is in it randomly. So it's a
I don't think I've even heard of this one.
So
Peter Sarsgaard.
Yeah, whom I just love. Well, that's Maggie's husband, and he is just always so good. So a really quick overview of it. Miss Olivia Colman's character, whose name I forget because it doesn't, it's not important. She's a professor of English lit or whatever, and she got married. She had good for her. She got married. She had 2 children. Being a mom is hard. So yeah, it's a thing. So she left her family for like 3 years and then came back to them. And now she's and all of this is told in flashback and through like current performance. So like we are in present, she's Olivia Colman and she is on holiday at some Greek isle, which is gorgeous, or maybe it's not a Greek isle, but some isle of some sort. It's beautiful. She's at the water. Dakota Johnson is there with her child. And of course, she's having these flashbacks of motherhood because she was once a mother and it was just hard. And she left her family and she came back to her family. And it's just, coping with all that. And it is a slow movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of like, there are times that you're embarrassed for her sometimes. You're like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed for you, which just makes me be like, well, you're
the character or the actor?
Character. Yeah, the character. Okay. No, because Olivia, the character, I'm like, why are you're so, she's just, there's, which makes it good acting if I'm concerned for you and I'm feeling like, oh my God. As a parent, everyone experiences parenthood differently, and I enjoy times when the realism is there, that it is not like all wonderful. Like it's true, like people who are like, oh, you should love your children, obviously, and they are wonderful and they are all cute things and there are wonderful things that they do that are hilarious, and I like regaling you with stories of the kiddos. But and it's like, it's, and so there are times that I'm like, I'm so happy to see that there's a different take on motherhood. It really truly is do I recommend the movie? I don't know. It's slow, and for me to tell you something is slow, because I am like, I love molasses, man. Give me Marcia Gay Harden any day, just silently closing cabinets in the kitchen, and I'm like, I'm with you, and I love you.
Would you say the movie's slow as in it's just kind of dull and boring, or is it how I often describe such films as deliberately paced?
So it's deliberately paced, but 100% deliberate.
It's one of those, if you're into it, it's not going to be bothersome, but yeah, it's
So very controversial film called The Brown Bunny,
Mhm.
about a road trip. And that is a very slow, deliberately paced, slow movie because it is, this one reminds me of that one, not in a lot of like just in a pacing way, in that this woman, Lita, is on holiday by herself.
Mhm.
And she's our main character. So there's going to be a lot of just
Or sitting
Lita
there doing nothing, right?
doing, looking at other people doing stuff and kind of like, look at people and
People
I'm
watching is
lying
fun. Watching
here. And,
people watchers.
yeah, and so it's like you have to understand. Like we are. Sorry, I just burped. We are going through her minutia with her.
Mm-hmm.
The woman who plays younger Olivia Colman is incredible. Like I don't know who Jessie, I think is the actress's name. Buckley, I don't know. She's incredible. Like I
Jessie
could.
Buckley, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know her name. She's fantastic. Um, and yeah, so it's an interesting. It doesn't go anywhere. I
So
don't
a slice of life
believe
kind
it.
of a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very slice of life. It doesn't have a. I don't want to say it doesn't have a moral, but it doesn't have like a closing. It's just like this is what happened, and she's strange, and she's strange to these people, and she semi befriends them, but she doesn't really, and she did go back to her kids, but like there's weirdness there, and she's just a weird character, and it's funny because at the very end, like Dakota Johnson is asking her, she's like, because she told her that she left her kids, and Dakota goes, "How did it feel?" And Olivia Colman goes, "It felt magnificent." and 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 Dakota Johnson goes, "So what happened?" She goes, "Well, I went back." She goes, "Why?" And she goes, "Because they're my kids."
Kids.
And it's just like, yeah.
Maybe that's the film's thesis. Kids kind of suck, but they are yours. So what you gonna do? Which the film We Need to Talk About Kevin actually has kind of a tangentially related thesis. How would you compare those two from that perspective?
Yeah. Whoa, that's a toughie because the difference, like the misbehaving of the children in
It's
The Lost
quite
Child
different, right?
is just kids are assholes, not kids are psychotic,
Sadistic murderers, right?
sadistic,
Yeah.
murderous assholes. Um, but it is an interesting thing because especially like John C. Reilly's character in We Need to Talk About Kevin
He's the
is
father, right?
he's the
Yeah.
father. And he's definitely just like, hey, it's our boy. Like, why are you, just this is our son. You just need to get to know. It's a very sympathetic, like just really trying to make it okay. And I think that um it and it definitely is like one of those parental movies. We Need to Talk About Kevin, that is, in that sometimes you don't want to see the like where is that turning point of I just have a little imp, which
Mm-hmm.
we have a 7-year-old imp. He's not, there are no signs that he's going to go on a spree.
He's not tearing the
we're,
tails
we're
off of
watching.
squirrels or anything.
No, he's just, you know likes to knock over shit and go, oh, I didn't mean to. And I'm like, yeah, no, you kind of did, didn't you? He just needs
Mm-hmm.
to, he's just an attention seeker. Whereas, you know, it's that fine line of like, where is, I just can't take it because you're just being obnoxious. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't take it because you might be psychotic.
Right. It's interesting because it sounds like the lost daughter, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
It seems to
I
seems
said
to
it
be
wrong.
coming from the perspective of kids are difficult, but they're yours. Doesn't mean you can't take a break and shouldn't take a break now and then if you need it.
And that's the thing is,
Like, does it present that as a healthy thing for her to have done?
Yes and no. I mean, she didn't.
Well, actually, she took a break for a couple of years, right?
She abandoned.
Yeah, that's more than I'm taking a week off.
That's not just like I'm going to have a girls' trip this weekend and not call. You're staying with dad, because the father figure is in the scenario. So like the father of the girls is in the scenario. So he was that a bird hitting our window? Whoa.
Ugh.
So he takes care of the children, you know, so at least there's that. But she does. She's just like, bye. So that's different than just a woman being like,
right. I'm
gonna go to Vegas
right.
and to drink myself stupid, and then I'm gonna come back and fall back in love with you.
Okay.
Because that painting on the wall has just thrown me a little over the edge, and I need a mental vacay, which I think every parent should do. I think every single parent needs to make use of the grandparents every now and then and just be like, go over there. I don't want to see you tonight.
Yeah.
Or make time for, like, making time for yourself is like the most important thing. I do my cat classes, and it's just like you got to.
I wonder if Olivia Colman had taken a personal weekend or a girls' weekend or something, if that would have prevented her from up and abandoning her family at some point.
Yeah, not sure. But I think it talks about the idea that women are supposed to be so many things. You know, we're not supposed to lose our
infinitely patient, and
we're not supposed to lose our jobs for having a kid. We're not supposed to let the house go. We're like, it's all this stuff. Like, and I still have that. Like, so I work from home, which we all know, and which, as much as I love working from home, and it affords me some wonderful opportunities, there is that moment that I think to myself, you know, and by the way, Jeremy has never made me feel this way. This is something that I put on myself, but like, I want the laundry done, the dishes done, the house clean for him to come home. I want him, because I'm here. Like, when I was at the office, when I used to go into the office, I never thought to myself, oh my God, I'm neglecting the laundry, because there's nothing I could do about it. It never even entered my mind. But because I'm home, all of a sudden you have that, and it's all me placing it on me, going, what did I do all day? I sat at my desk and I wrote what I was supposed to write, and I researched what I was supposed to research, and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars on, you know, carpeting for my booth. But like, you have that whole, like, you know, I haven't dusted the piano for a week, and let me tell you, now that the doors are open because it's summer and stuff, that is dusty, and it makes me feel bad. So, but I think that women have that, and we have that. I still want to do my job, and I want to be successful in my career, and I want my house to be good, and I want to be sexy for my husband, and I want all this, and I want to pretend that like I don't need a break, because I just stated these children inside of me, and I pooped them out. And so I think that that's,
you know, for
a
fraction of a second, only a fraction of a second, the thought passed through my mind where I wondered, now, is that broadly a female thing? Or if, you know, a male were in your position, would the male feel those same? I'm like, no, the male absolutely would not at all. No. Broadly. I mean, there might be some, but most males, I think, in that position would be like, no, I actually have no drive at all to dust the piano or do the laundry or cook dinner.
Yeah, and
I can't wait for the missus to come home and do all that stuff.
Like, I don't have a bowl for ice cream, woman. Come on.
I was gonna have ice cream, but all the dishes are dirty because my wife is still at work.
It's like when you see like the tub of ice cream out, like dripping, and the spoon is in it. And like, I'm like,
I had to eat it straight from the carton because you weren't home to do the dishes.
Exactly.
There's like 5 buttons on the front of that dishwasher. I don't know what those do.
Dude, our dishwasher is the funniest dishwasher ever. So it sings. So when you turn it on, it goes dun, 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 dun. It really does. And I'm like, and you're like, oh, play. But sometimes because I got a belly, I run into it when I'm getting cups and it like turns on, it goes do 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 do, and I turn it off and it goes dun, dun. Take that. Oh, you didn't want me right now.
What's the you paused for a second. What's the denouement jingle?
Oh, it's so do 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 do, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no, I didn't mean that, and it goes dun dun dun.
So it feels all disappointed. It's like, oh, I was so excited to do some dishes. It's like, no, I'm not doing dishes. Oh, it's like, I'm sorry, dishwasher.
So forlorn, and we all laugh at it. Even the kids, they're like, dude, that is a depressed dishwasher.
Man, I need to get some therapy for my kitchen appliances.
Truly. Okay, so
right.
the lost daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant performance.
What was that, an Oscar contender?
Indeed, it was.
Oh,
Olivia.
okay.
Yes.
What was it up for? Was it up for picture?
That I can't recall, but I know both Olivia Colman and her younger part, Jessie Buckley, whose name I pulled out of air apparently. They were both up for acting.
Okay.
That I know for a fact. I think it was up for picture, and it may have been up for some adapted because it was a book. So it may have been up for an adapted. So yeah, and that was that. But I watched it because I'm a fan of Olivia Colman's. I think that she is just a fantastic actress, and
Well, you paused again. Zoom knows what we're doing.
well, let's see what this is all about. And I watched it, and I was like, okay. So, are you frozen, or are you just thinking?
Can you see me waving my hands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You were frozen you were frozen for about 5 seconds there. So.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so that's scene.
I think Zoom might know what we're doing. It's like, trading the host to the paid account, are you, huh?
I'm on to you, Eisen.
You ain't using this for free, buddy. All right.
You're doing what? Oh, perfect. All right. They just buried their Ouija board. Good girls. I'm proud. Did you bury the planchette and everything with it?
Yeah, we all buried it away because it's not.
Yeah, you got to bury it separate. Okay, go light some candles and have some mac and cheese or something.
Like we buried a Ouija board in the backyard or something?
Nope, in the woods.
Why? This is a thing, isn't it?
So they brought the Ouija board in the house, and instead of reading the directions, they used it in different ways. So some dark energy has been entered into the house. So they had to go dispose of it in the ways, which is burying it outside, planchette not with it. And now they have to go cleanse their room and have some lunch.
It's like it's biodegradable cardboard and stuff, right? Okay. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the next movie I watched in February is one I had was really looking forward to see. It was in 2020.
Yeah.
Early in the year, I did a video where I said, here's my top 5 most anticipated movies of this year.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic started, and a lot of them got delayed into subsequent years.
Yeah.
One of those films was